the Toronto Maple Leafs going to be able to re-sign William Nylander with his asking price now at $11 million? Are they going to have to trade one of the core four, including Nylander himself? And how is the salary cap situation going to work out for Brad Treliving? We're going to break all of that down and more in this video. Guys, my name is Darius Domingues. This is Leafs Digest. And we've noticed that about 75% of you watching our videos aren't subscribed. So if you could do me a favor and the other content creators on this channel a favor, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything Leafs news. So guys, let's get into it. He is our Swedish superstar. After this week in Sweden, he had an absolutely incredible performance in both games in front of his family. This guy is on another level. We've never seen William Nylander like this in his career. All right. He has entered superstar status in my eyes. The script has completely flipped on this guy. When he first started out, and even just a couple seasons ago, a lot of people were labeling him soft. He doesn't like to go into the corners. He's not a top-end guy. Meanwhile, the whole time, he's performing for them in the playoffs. He's the only one scoring goals in big moments, big goals in big moments in the playoffs. All right, and for my money, and it's soon going to be the Leafs' money, he is the top winger on this team. No questions asked, all right? He has had one of the best seasons, all right? We gotta look at these stats, all right? I mean, everyone's rifling off stats, but this one really blew my mind over the last week, all right? There have only been 7 longer point streaks to start a season in the NHL history, than William Nylander's at 17 games, all right? Those include Wayne Gretzky at 51, which will never be replicated. That's just insane. Wayne Gretzky at 30, Matt Sundin at 30. Now, keep in mind, this Matt Sundin record is actually with the Quebec Nordiques, all right? He wasn't on the Leaf yet when he set that. Wayne Gretzky at 23. Wow, this Wayne Gretzky guy's pretty good. Danny Heatley, 22. Bill Cownley at 18, and Marcel Dion at 18. And for my money, William Nylander will tie at least 2 of those at 18 this coming week against the Chicago Blackhawks. He has been on an absolute roll. He has been taking over games. He is on an Austin Matthews level to me now, all right? You know, I don't want to talk bad about Mitch Marner, but we got to get into it. Mitch Marner, he doesn't, you know, maybe last year he had that great point streak. He is not taking over games. He is not on the superstar level this year. William Nylander, when they need him most, is taking his game to the next level. He is taking over the game. If they need a goal, he's going to take the puck. He's going to get them a goal, whether it be an assist or a goal. He has been playing otherworldly, all right? I love everything about what this guy is doing. Defensively, offensively, obviously a dynamo this year, and he's leading the team in points, all right? William freaking Nylander, what a stud on the ice for the Leafs this year. And not only that, like, we'll get into the contract stuff, right? The Leafs have to retain a guy like this. He handles the pressure so well. You know, he shows up in big moments. He is like Matt Sundin. Whenever they needed him, he was there, right? It's in his DNA as a Swedish hockey player. When they needed him, he is there, right? So similar to Matt Sundin in that way, in my eyes. I love William Nylander. And like they were saying, one of the most popular Swedish players right now. So good for him. I love everything Nylander's doing. And he's got to get paid. He's got to get paid. So let's get into that. Can the Leafs re-sign William Nylander? Is it possible? There's so much discourse online. They don't have the cap space. How are you going to have 4 guys making $11 million? Listen, guys, I'm going to help try and break it down the way I see it in my eyes. And if you do agree with me, that's great. I don't think this is the best course of action, personally. I think the best course of action could have been last summer when they could have moved some other guys. But we're here. We're here. All right. So we got to get into it that way. Without trading any of the top guys, all right, can the Leafs be successful? Can they re-sign Nylander? My answer is yes. Without trading any of the top guys, can they re-sign him? Yes. The cap is going up this offseason. Between $3 and $4 million. All right. Nylander makes roughly $7 million right now. If you give him all of that cap space, let's say he's making $11 million. His number, all right, they let it get to this point where he's been playing this well. His number is now at 10.5, $11 million. All right. He's John Tavares, almost Austin Matthews money. He's in that range. And it's true. All right. He's playing at that level. He's playing at a higher level than Austin Matthews so far this year. All right. He needs to be paid. He needs to make that money. So, yes. They can do it, all right? So I think they need to sacrifice next season. I think that's maybe the route they're going to have to go down. They're going to have to save money in certain areas and just sacrifice next season until the next season. And we'll get into that. All right. Tavares' contract comes up at the end of next year. So does Marner's as well, actually. And we can talk about that as well. All right. So Tavares' contract comes up at the end of the next season. So Nylander will already be signed. I think you allocate all the money you have available to Nylander, just re-sign him. Keep that guy in Toronto. Even if you have to sacrifice next year, even if you don't make the playoffs, keep William Nylander in Toronto. When Tavares' contract is up, and we can take a look at the cap situation here. All right. This is the forward group for Toronto. All right. You got John Tavares making $11 million till the end of next season, the 2024-25 season. All right. And you got William Nylander. So let's say Nylander takes that $11 million. Tavares will be roughly 35 years old, and he's not going to be an $11 million caliber player. It's just a fact of the matter. All right. He's not going to be there. So he's going to take less, possibly maybe even $6 million, right? I would still take a 34, 35-year-old John Tavares for, $5-6 million. He's still a very effective player. He's a great face-off guy. He's great in front of the net. He's still a very useful player. Maybe even less, depending on the term. Maybe he's a $4.5 million player since he's, up around 35 years old. And you're getting into those 35-year-old contracts. Very dangerous spot to be in, right? But I think, you kind of just switch their AAVs around. And I think it can make the cap work going forward. You got Marner coming up as well. He is not producing at an $11 million player rate. You look at a guy like Braden Point from the Tampa Bay Lightning, scores 50 goals every year. He makes 9.5. And I know everything about the taxes. Mitch Marner is just not performing at that type of level, right? So I think if you switch around their AAVs a little bit, and you kind of get creative with it. Maybe you sacrifice next year. You don't have, the greatest defensive core. You don't have the greatest, depth scoring, bottom six, even if you miss the playoffs for whatever reason. I think this team, these four guys can still will this team into the playoffs if they have good goaltending as well. But I think if you just sacrifice one season, you can make all of this work. And William Nylander at the end of it will still only be like 27, 28 years old and ready to rock for you through his prime years into, sign him for 8 years. You can sign him for 8 years, right? You're the Leafs. You don't have to sell off his rights or anything. You can sign him for the total 8 years. So just do it. Try to get him locked in for that money. I think that would be obviously perfect for the Leafs if they were to make that cap situation work. Now, that's the forward group. There's a lot of money. A lot of people are just looking at their cap situation this year. There's a lot of money coming off the books. There's a lot of trade talk that Brody's involved in. John Klingberg as well is coming off the books for 4.1 million. And TJ Brody at $5 million is coming off the books next year. TJ Brody's already 33 years of age. You're not going to re-sign him for that same dollar amount if you do re-sign him. I don't think they even will. I think they're going to try and go younger. You got Giordano coming off. He doesn't even make $1 million, but he's going to come off too. They're rejigging the whole defense. So there's money coming off the back end next year as well. There's going to be money available to sign Nylander. If the number is 11, they're going to be able to re-sign him. Everyone's kind of, whoa, are we going to be able to re-sign him while keeping a competitive team? I think all signs point to absolutely do whatever you can to keep him in Toronto where he wants to be, and he stated that. Keep him happy and give him what he deserves, which is, I think, $11 million. He's the leading scorer on the team. He always shows up when it matters. You have to pay for talent like that. You just have to pay for that. All right. It's just the way it is. And after the week he had, I wanted to show off this awesome photo here by Brian B. Leafs, where he took over the game in overtime with two idols watching on, two Swedish icons, which is really, really nice. I thought this was a really cool photo just to, cap off the amazing weekend he had in Sweden. And he's a superstar over there. He not only there, but here. He's an absolute superstar for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I think whatever they can do to get this done, if it is $11 million, if it's 10.5, whatever the number is, if it's lower than 12, lock it in. Get this guy signed. Do whatever you can, even if you have to sacrifice a year until Tavares and Marner's contracts are up and you can kind of rejig their AAVs. All right. It's only 1 year. Get this guy locked in. You do not want to give this guy up in a trade. You will not win a trade that William Nylander is involved in. You're giving up way too much value. All right. I don't think he's a guy you trade at they're going to go for it this year. They have to keep him into the offseason. If they lose into free agency, that's a colossal failure. All right. You have to re-sign a guy like this. He's built to play in Toronto, and he's an elite talent that we haven't seen in a long time out of Sweden. All right. So, and he's showing it this year. Everything about him is just magnified. All right. Like his skating is better. His shooting is better. His playmaking his decisions on the ice. Defensively, he's pretty sound. That line's been very good. You know, they found a groove with Bertuzzi and Tavares. He is a superstar. Do whatever you can to keep that guy in Toronto. But guys, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Can they keep Nylander? I think they can, as long as they, you know, rejig the cap a little bit and make sure he stays happy. Even if they have to, like I said, sacrifice that 1 year, it is what it is. So check out some of our other content. My name is Darius Domingues. This has been Leafs Digest, and we will see you in the next video.